There was a very unique moment on CNN yesterday, Tom. I want to get everybody's insight on feedback on this here, which I thought it was so awkward and weird. I don't know if you caught this, Eric, or not. I'll play it for you guys. Rob, it's the one I just texted you. I don't know if you have it or not. I literally just texted it to you. You put a thumbs up on it. I think you have it. They're on this show, and they're going back and forth. And while you're watching this guy right here is just giving his perspective. Scott Jennings of Kentucky, right? He's giving his perspective, and then he makes the mistake, Vinny, of slightly bringing up Doug. And he says to him, don't go there because I can't defend you if you get sued for defamation.
Really?
Now, this is the same organization that said for years, Russia, 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 and why they've lost so much credibility. This is such an awkward moment, maybe the worst moment of CNN in the last 30 days. Go ahead, Rob.
Tell you, this campaign is so everything that's said about Donald Trump and his treatment of women and the gender gap in this campaign, this rapper, who I fully admit sold a lot of records, if you've read some of the things he has said about the promotion of domestic violence.
No. What he said, he said if you're famous, you can grab them by the...
Bakari, I listened to your entire filibuster. If you could just give me 13 seconds.
I'll give you 12 because he says grab them by the...
And so when you think about the things he has said in order to sell those records, and you also consider some of the questions that are swirling around Harris's own husband in this regard.
Oh my God. Okay, you don't even get 12 seconds.
I'm
not going to let you go into the far end of BS.
I'm just telling you.
Scott,
you can't go.
Listen,
I love that.
Wait, Vinny. Rewind it. I want the audience to hear this. Rewind it right there. Just let it go and don't say anything, guys. Just listen. Go ahead.
Consider some of the questions that are swirling around Harris's own husband in this regard.
Oh my God. Okay, you don't even get 12 seconds. I'm not going to let you go into the far end of BS.
I'm just telling you.
Scott,
you can't go. Listen, I can't represent you in the defamation case.
Bingo.
We're gonna stop here.
We just play the last 3 seconds. Go back 3 seconds. I can't represent you in the defamation case. Go ahead.
Scott,
you can't go. Listen, I can't represent you in the defamation case.
No problem. So how about Trump and his entire family sue CNN for all the Russia collusion stuff and keeps you guys in court? I'm sorry. How about what you guys did? What happened with that? Oh, that $35 million, dossier. You forget you like this?
Yeah.
So nobody can talk about that. So when you see stuff like this, first, what does it do to your blood? That's number one. Like if we can measure your blood pressure right now. Two, do you think this is one of the reasons why these guys are losing as much credibility as they are?
Well, obviously, yes. The answer to that question, what does it do? You wouldn't believe how desensitized I am to this kind of stuff, right? And I remember you're good friends with Alina Habba. She's one of our attorneys, right? I'll never forget. She calls me up one night and she's crying. It's her first time. I think it was Newsweek did like a hit piece on her, and she's crying. She's a basket case, and and I hold her in super high esteem. And I start laughing. I go, Lena, I'm literally a guy who's out there every single day on the stage. I've probably done more on the political side of this thing. I run, $7-8 billion company, have done so very, very well, guided it through absolute turmoil, which was obviously the Russia investigations and everything they tried to do to kind of put us under. And yet I'm the guy on Saturday Night Live every night that's playing around with a fidget spinner, right? I mean, like this is literally, if you let this stuff bother you,
I love that.
You're going to be dead. In fact, the exact opposite. You should almost find it endearing at a certain point, right? The harder they hate you, the more effective you're being, right? And we've all seen that in our lives. Patrick, you've definitely seen that in your life. And, I actually almost take as a badge of, I know their game. Guys, we know the game that they play. And I also, you have to be able to compartmentalize life and realize that it's all a game, right? And we know where they sit, and we know why they're being told to say certain things, and we know why a lot of things are done, right? Does it surprise anybody here that Soros just bought all the, all the radio stations in this country? Do you think Soros is just infatuated with
he's a collector,
old school radio?
He's a collector.
He's doing that for a reason, right? And there's been many examples of that, and you have to realize the game that it is. And so, yeah, is it infuriating on a personal level because it's just there's the double standards exist? How in the world could a guy like me get 111 subpoenas, yet Hunter Biden, who's doing crack, pictures with hookers all over the place, doing unthinkable things, a laptop, as we say, from hell, sitting on boards of every natural gas company in Ukraine while his father is actively, trying to strip our rights to drill in this country. And they come after this guy, right? For the nonsense. I understand the two-sided nature of this game, and you have to be able to compartmentalize that. And And if you dwell on it, and if you let that feed into your soul, listen, it'll kill you because there's no way to stop it, right? So we become intensely desensitized.
Adam, how do you process that? You see this, you see what he's saying. How do you process that? I'm talking the moment where it's like, wait. Stop him, stop her. You can't say anything about Doug Emhoff. How do you process that?
Specifically about that? Or
that specific part.
Well, the hardest thing to do, I think, in general, and I've had to go through this, is admit that you were wrong and admit that you fell for it. I fell for the Russia thing. And by the way, I have countless amounts of friends that fell for it.
Yeah.
Every American fell for it. Yeah. Why would we not think this? Every morning I would wake up and I did well for myself and I had the opportunity to kind of work remote, work from home, and things were good. Every morning I would watch Morning Joe. But why did I watch Morning Joe? It's because what they conveyed was, here's this Republican guy that came in through the Tea Party, conservative. Here's this Mika Brzezinski lady, the daughter of Zbigniew Brzezinski that was under the Carter administration. They had credibility. So if you're just an everyday American, all right, that's what's on TV, you're going to fall for it. I'm sorry. But the hardest thing to do is say, man, they got me. What do I do now?
Yeah.
No. Trump's lying. He's the bad guy. The hardest thing to do is like, yeah, you got me, guys. My bad. And then publicly say, it's my bad.
Yeah.
What they're not willing to do, whether it's Macari Sellers or some of these other people, they do not have the humility. You said hubris and pride. What's the definition of hubris? Excessive pride. No, Doug Emhoff would never do that. I'm going to defend you in a libel case. It's like, well, stories might be true here, buddy. But they don't have the humility, and they're always going to do the blue no matter who thing. The hardest thing to do is admit defeat, admit you were wrong. And I think there's a lot of people in America, I'm seeing it everywhere, all over the internet, all over Twitter, everyone I talk to. Because they know what I was and know who I am now. And they're like, proud of you, buddy. Like, congratulations. And I think more people are doing that. And we're seeing that become pervasive around the United States. And that's why Trump's going to win this election.
And everybody had a little moment, which is interesting, right? It's where the wall kind of fractured, right? For you, it sounds like the wall kind of fractured at Russia when you realized that was a whole hoax, right?
But being around here, it's a slow drip. And a lot of people don't. Everyone lives in echo chambers. Sure. And they just want confirmation bias. And I get so many texts from friends and they're like, I don't even know you these days. I'm like, I'm the same dude, bro.
Yeah.
I'm just a little wiser now. Maybe you're the person that's not willing to look in the mirror. No. But as you were saying, sir.
No, I listen, I think that's right. And I think that's what, oftentimes people look at kind of what wants to be written on their tombstone when right. And I look at my father oftentimes and I say, 10 years ago would have been unbelievable developer, the best kind of builder, right? Maybe after The Apprentice, right, and how big of a hit that whole thing was. It's small potatoes compared to obviously what we've been through in the last 10 years, but maybe it's great developer, great entertainer, right? In a certain way, I go back to it and I say this a lot. I really think his greatest legacy is actually going to be kind of, uncovering BS, right? The ability to it's like this unvarnished, honesty that he's kind of expose the American public to on so many different issues that have caused us to otherwise question things that we might not have otherwise questioned before, right? And have kind of critical thinking. And I think that really changes the world for, people have more, expression now. People are more willing to kind of, going back to 2016, I can't tell you how many people would come up to me and say, hey, they would whisper in my ear, hey, I'm voting for your father. I'm voting for your father. They no longer whisper anymore, right? And that's, guys, that's a damn beautiful thing for this country. It's a damn beautiful thing for the world. And by the way, I hope that empowers people all across the world because...
Can I tell you one more thing that changed? I remember in 2016, people being shamed for voting for Trump, especially men. Now I'm starting to see people being shamed, like, dude, you're voting for Kamala. What are you doing?
Well, I mean, think about we call it the whole frat boy syndrome, right? But think about... for the longest time, it's like, I agree. I'm going to be progressive. I like listening to what these professors say. And, I kind of believe in it. Now, all of a sudden, you've got this whole movement where it's almost cool to be like almost defiant against, kind of the indoctrination of higher education that's trying to brainwash you in so many ways. And all of a sudden, you see this young group of kids who are, in a certain way, testosterone is raging, but they're also at a fragile area in their life. They're trying to come out of college. They're trying to balance, hey, do I get good grades or do I stick up for my beliefs, right? I mean, there's a lot of moral questions in there. And a lot of times these kids are coming out to this whole point, I'm actually going to stick up for my beliefs. And And it's a beautiful thing. And you didn't see that in 2020, and you certainly didn't see that in 16. I mean, the world's really changed a lot in the last 4 years.
Tom, your thoughts. You see something like this. And again, I want to emphasize the main specific part, which is, no, the clip we were looking at, not what Rob is showing right now. The clip we were looking at, where a mainstream media, CNN, their job is to do journalism. They're not even willing to entertain the possibility that some of the Doug Emhoff stories are accurate. Yet, anything that's even risky that has not been verified source, anonymous sources told us that Donald Trump, XYZ, and they'll take it, but they will not go with one that was in daylight. All these stories, hey, allegedly we heard the story that Doug Emhoff, ... Why do how do you think that impacts the viewers?
Well, the viewers you look at the surveys of what Americans think of news media and the trustworthiness of news media right now. It's at an all-time low. It used to be Congress had like a 21%, help me out, the approval rating. It was like hovering like congressional.
Media is single digits now.
And the media is now below government in terms of approval ratings and the opinion of the U.S. consumer. And so I look at it and people say, what do you think about the credibility of CNN there? I'm like, look, it's hard to lose what's already lost, right? The American viewer is voted and said, we don't find a lot of credibility in the news media, point one. And then point two, you know what I see in there? I see it's contrived. Their positions on TV are contrived. The producer in their ear is pulling triggers. And when we see everybody 2 weeks ago use the word testy in all the news coverage, they're texting each other. The word of the day will be testy. Oh, it was a testy exchange. Don't make her look too bad. Really? That's where you're going to go with it? And now you've got the producer and everybody else was like, we don't touch Doug. The entire media landscape is in collusion. They're in absolute political collusion among themselves. We don't touch Doug. And the minute he put that out, you know why? Because it's true. Because he hit a woman in public, because he impregnated a nanny. And those are things that don't play well for a guy who wants to be first gentleman. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. And so I look at it and I say, you know what? That's it. And something you said about being in the headlines, there's an endearing part to it. It's kind of funny. We came from LA, and there was an ancient publicist in LA that the way the story goes, I think he was giving the advice to Wasserman, Len or Lou Wasserman. He was giving the advice to him. He said, did you see what they wrote? Did you see what they wrote? I can't believe what they wrote. And he said, calm down, buddy. Your name's in the papers. And if your name's in, spell it right. Their name's not. Yeah. He says, have a coffee, call me later. And it was, I'm paraphrasing, but there was that point in Hollywood where, you know what? If they're talking about you, there's actually something good to it.
Yeah.
You're
by
attracting the attention.
And if they're trying to take you down, it means you're relevant, right? It means you're relevant, and you're kind of, And guys, one of the other things that's been really fascinating to me over the last 10-year period of time, the amount of times I've done articles with people, some writer will come in from the New York Times or something, and they'll leave there being like, hey, I'm really impressed with you. You're really sharp. You seem like a great guy. Obviously you run a great company. You've endured absolute hell through this whole process. And then all of a sudden you get the text later on, hey, my editor took a really kind of stiff pen to the story. I go, what do you mean it's not your story? Like, your editor wasn't in that room with us. Yeah, a lot of parts were changed, and I'm sorry. You know how many times I've heard that? Wow. Where they go back, they write something that's probably not perfect. No one's perfect, right? But they write something that they think is at least accurate, and then the narrative gets changed by a person who's being paid the big bucks, on the editorial desk, who's never actually looked you in the eye.
Tonight.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.